Her heart races. Snow drifts quietly outside the mansion as a soft glow spills through the open door. A voice calls out to Rosenia, reminding her of a promise she made. A hand reaches toward her, glowing with an almost divine light, delicate yet commanding. Flowers bloom in the air around it, as if the world itself is urging her forward. He calls her Rose and beckons her closer, his voice low and inviting. She knows she shouldn't fall for him, not when everything about this feels like a trap wrapped in charm, but when he smiles like that, her brain checks out and her heart goes full. Maybe just one handhold won't kill me. She asks if he really just wants to hold hands, trying to keep things innocent. He leans in, eyes locked on hers, and suddenly the air between them feels way too charged for something as simple as fingers touching. This man is a walking disaster. Her brain short-circuits and screams internally, absolutely not. She lets out a dramatic shriek, clutching her chest like she's about to faint. The sheer proximity is enough to send her into panic mode. She stares at him, wide-eyed and flustered, knowing full well that if she gets any closer, it's not just her heart that's in danger, it's her whole, carefully constructed survival plan. She reminds herself that he's the male lead of this world, the hero of the story. And her? She's not the heroine, she's the villain's little sister. Her gaze shifts as the memory of her brother, cold, powerful, and dangerous, floods her mind. He's the one destined to bring chaos, and she's tied to him by blood. Her heart sinks. How can she even think about love when her very existence is a red flag? She mentally panics, wondering if she accidentally said something out loud. But then he smiles and says he's glad he's not the only one who loves her. Her brain lags. Did he just say love? She blurts out a confused huh, while he casually drops another emotional bomb, asking if she still hasn't realized his feelings. She stares at him, stunned, as the puzzle pieces start clicking into place. All those things he said before, did he actually mean them? He says it clearly this time. He loves her. The words hit like a thunderclap. Rosenia's heart swells with a mix of joy and disbelief. All those quiet nights they spent together, the lingering touches and unspoken words, she thought they were fleeting, meaningless. But now she realizes he saw something real in them. And now she's sitting there, trying not to melt into a puddle of emotional confusion. Still reeling, she stares at him as he casually drops another truth bomb. He doesn't throw around, "I love you," after a one-night stand. Her eyes widen. So then, what are they? She hesitates, then asks the question that's been clawing at her chest. If this isn't just a fling, then what is it? Her voice trembles with hope and fear, waiting for his answer like her life depends on it. Because emotionally, it kinda does. His words echo in her mind. Not just a fling. She repeats them silently, trying to make sense of it. He sits there, calm and composed, like he didn't just nuke her emotional stability. A chill runs down her spine. And not from the cold. It's the realization that this might actually be something serious. Cue her inner child screaming into a pillow. She lets out a tiny squeak, overwhelmed and unsure if she's ready for this level of emotional commitment. He exhales slowly, his voice softer now. He tells her he feels it too, the pull between them. She nods, barely able to speak, and whispers yes. Then he says the words that make her heart skip a beat. Once they start, there's no turning back. The weight of that truth settles between them. Whatever this is, it's not temporary. It's the kind of thing that changes everything. Their hands stretch toward each other, and the second they touch, it's like the world holds its breath. Rosenia gasps, her body tensing as he pulls her close. She's not sure if her heart is racing from fear or excitement, probably both. He holds her with a seriousness that makes her chest ache. There's no going back now. Whatever this is, they've already crossed the line. She takes in every detail, his silver hair glowing like moonlight, his emerald eyes sharp and clear. He looks down at her with such tenderness it nearly breaks her. He whispers her name, then asks her to always hold him. In that moment, she realizes he's not just the male lead, he's the one she wants to protect too. He holds her close and says he'll only ever let himself be held by her. Then he adds, almost teasingly, that from now on, only she can kiss him. Rosenia stammers, trying to form a coherent thought, but he cuts her off again, telling her she can touch him as much as she wants. And just like that, she's flat on her back, blushing so hard she might combust. This man has no chill and zero breaks. Their eyes meet, and the world goes quiet. He leans in slowly, giving her time to pull away, but she doesn't. She closes her eyes, and their lips meet in a kiss that's soft, warm, and full of everything they haven't said. When they part, she whispers yes, and he smiles like he's just been handed the universe. For once, everything feels right. As their kiss deepens, Rosenia's thoughts drift. She's given everything to him, her heart, her trust, her future. And yet, she wonders how it all came to this. This wasn't supposed to be her story. In the novel she read, she was just a side character. But now, she's living a rewritten tale. one where love and danger are tangled together, and the ending is anything but certain. The title of the novel echoes in her mind the Duke's one and only mate. But the scenes playing out are far from romantic. Her brother, cloaked in darkness, unleashes magic that warps the battlefield. The Duke, sword drawn, meets him head-on. Sparks fly, blades clash, and the fate of the kingdom hangs in the balance. This isn't just a story anymore. This is war. She remembers the moment she first woke up in this world, inhabiting the body of a nameless side character's little sister. 20 years have passed since then. She's lived quietly in the background, watching the plot unfold, trying to survive. But now, everything's changed. The story is no longer someone else's. It's hers too. She didn't realize it at first, that she was inside a novel, that the boy she called brother was the villain. But the signs were all there. The bloodshed, the terror, the way he stood above the fallen with a sword in hand. And now, the male lead is here, blade drawn, ready to end the nightmare. Her brother's fate is sealed. And she might be next. Her fate is already written. Death at the hands of the male lead, not because of her crimes but because of her bloodline. The ticking of fate grows louder, a giant clock winding down the seconds. She wonders if there's any way to escape this ending, or if she's simply waiting for the blade to fall. Why now? Why does she remember all of this suddenly? She sits frozen on the floor, heart pounding. A memory of blood and red eyes flashes in her mind. No way. This can't be real. She looks up and sees her brother calmly reading at his desk, completely unaware of the storm that's coming for them both. She panics. If the story plays out like the novel, she's toast. She clutches her little hands together, trembling. Her brother, the future villain, is right in front of her, red eyes already cold and distant. She's 3 years old, and already on death row by narrative logic. Girl's gotta find a loophole fast. It's all because of him, her brother, the future villain. If she doesn't change the story soon, she's going down with him, and she's not about to let that happen without a fight. She stares up at him, tiny and terrified, knowing her fate is tied to his. The clock on her survival keeps ticking. She's still stuck in the villain's family, still 3 years old. He asks what's wrong, and she freezes. What does he expect from a toddler? A TED Talk. She tries to smile, but it's giving, "Help me, I'm dying inside." He watches her silently, then conjures the blue snake toy on the floor. She holds her breath, praying he doesn't suspect anything. Just act cute. That's the only skill she's got right now. She watches him, realizing just how terrifyingly talented he is. Gravity distortion magic? At his age, that's villain core behavior. One day, he'll become the youngest master of the magic tower. And when that day comes, he'll bring ruin to the world. She shivers, wondering how she's supposed to survive next to the final boss before he even hits puberty. She sees it clearly now, her brother executed by the male lead, and then it's her turn. "Rosenia, you're next." The words echo in her mind like a death sentence. Rosenia clutches her toy snake like it's a lifeline, groaning in frustration. Of course she's gonna get killed right alongside her future villain brother. Turns out her fancy noble birth wasn't a real silver spoon, just gold-plated and already tarnishing fast. If this story keeps following the novel, she's headed straight for a dead end. She imagines her own tiny grave and wonders how on earth she's supposed to survive this mess. She starts spiraling, wondering if her only shot at survival is to do what all those fantasy novel heroines did, tame the villain. But this isn't some slow burn romance. This is her 3-year-old self facing off against a psycho genius who casually breaks into ancient magic tombs for fun. The guy who'll one day destroy the world. She looks up at him, tiny and trembling, and realizes she's in way over her head. Adrien turns to her, his red eyes calm, as he asks why she's staring at him like that and if she's hungry. She freezes. How is she supposed to tame someone like him? Her brain short-circuits, and she mentally throws in the towel. To hell with this. She gives up. Rosenia squeezes her toy snake like it's her last shred of sanity, internally begging the universe to just end her now. He gets a snake toy flung directly at his face. Adrien doesn't say a word. He just stands there, unreadable, red eyes locked on her. She's convinced this is it. He's about to end her. She braces herself, praying for a quick and painless death. But instead, Adrien suddenly asks if she wants to learn gravity distortion magic. She blinks. Huh? Her brain lags. All she did was chuck a toy at his head, and now she's accidentally enrolled in evil Hogwarts. Adrien kneels beside her and pulls her into his lap like it's the most normal thing in the world. He says that since she's his sister, she must have genius potential too. She stares at him, baffled, as he hands her a thick book filled with ancient symbols. He tells her that if she's really a genius, this should be easy. She gulps, realizing she's being thrown into the deep end of magical academia with zero prep time. He pushes the book in front of her, and she stares at the complex magic circles inside. This lunatic, does he even know she's 3? But as she starts to read, something clicks. She can actually understand it. Either she's a reincarnated genius, or got some kind of cheat code from the universe. Adrien watches her in disbelief and asks if she really understands it. She nods, still stunned. Adrien stares at her like she just grew a second head, then declares she's a genius. Just like that, she passes his first test. From that day on, he starts dragging her everywhere: lectures, field trips, probably even monster autopsies. She's 3 years old, reading grimoires like bedtime stories, and her life is officially not normal anymore. He even takes over her magic lessons personally, like some overachieving tutor with a sibling obsession. Their father seems thrilled, saying Rosenia looks eager to learn. She's not sure if she should feel proud or terrified, because now her villain brother is also her teacher and there's no escape clause in sight. Their father smiles warmly, saying of course Rosenia adores Adrien. She nearly chokes. Since when? Delusional much? He beams at their sibling bonding and officially hands over her education to Adrien. Adrien accepts the task like it's an honor. Meanwhile, Rosenia is internally screaming. This is not the mentorship she asked for. Adrien drags her down the hall like she's a sack of potatoes with potential. Rosenia glares at him, mentally calling him a damn villain. But if this is how it's going to be, then fine. She's going to tame him for real. She bolts outside, determined to take control of her fate, the sun shining like her own personal spotlight of rebellion. And so begins her new life as Adrien's precious little sister, tucked away in his magic tower like a rare collectible. It's not exactly freedom, but it's safe. For now, she's hidden from the chaos of the world, playing the long game from her high tower perch. Years pass, and Rosenia grows into her role as the tower's little princess. But by the time she hits 20, she's done. She's sick of Adrien's sister complex, sick of being locked up like Rapunzel with a library card. She bolts down the hall, yelling that she's going stir-crazy. Summer or not, she's breaking out. She storms into Adrien's study like a woman on a mission, yelling his name. Adrien, now 24 and still terrifyingly composed, looks up from his desk. She blurts out that she knows he's heading to the Southern Sea to investigate magical beasts, and she wants in. She's 20 now, and she's not about to be left behind. She accidentally breaks the door while barging in, thanks to her reinforcement magic training. Oops. She laughs nervously, blaming the flimsy door. Adrien sighs and mutters about how many more she's going to break. When he asks if she wants to investigate magical beasts too, she waves him off. Nope, she just wants to chill at the summer villa. No more tower lockdowns for her. Adrien stays silent for a beat, probably calculating the risk of letting her out. Then he finally agrees. She lights up like a Christmas tree and thanks him with a dramatic "I love you." He looks mildly stunned, but she doesn't care. She's finally getting her summer break. Adrien lays down the rules. She's to stay at the villa and nowhere else. She nods obediently, thinking, okay, got it. He says he'll leave one of his magical beasts to watch over her instead of servants. She agrees, but deep down, she has no idea what or who awaits her at the villa. And she's definitely not ready for what's coming. The sea stretches out in front of her, sparkling under the sun like a dream. Rosenia gasps and shouts with joy. It's the sea, the actual sea. She runs barefoot across the sand, laughing like a kid, building sandcastles and letting the waves kiss her toes. This is freedom. She picks up a seashell, marveling at how pretty it is. Everything feels magical. Then her stomach growls and she yells across the beach, "Big brother, I'm hungry!" She dashes off toward the villa, ready to devour dinner like she hasn't eaten in days. Adrien looks up from his book as Rosenia runs toward him, calling him to dinner. He eyes her bare feet and asks where her shoes are. She shrugs like it's no big deal. Who needs shoes when you've got sand? He sighs, muttering, seriously, but gets up anyway. She just grins, mission accomplished. She stumbles mid-run, but Adrien catches her effortlessly and lifts her into his arms. He tells her the barbecue is almost ready, so just wait a little longer. She pouts dramatically, whining that she wants to eat now. He chuckles and says they're almost there. He might be scary sometimes, but he's never actually done anything bad. In fact, she feels safer with him than anyone else. She wonders if she's actually managed to reform him. Tomorrow morning, Adrien will leave by boat to fulfill the Emperor's request about demonic beasts. That means she'll have the villa all to herself. She pretends to feel a little lonely. But nah, who is she kidding? It's freedom, baby. She hugs him tightly, already planning her solo vacation. As Adrien leaves, Rosenia practically floats with joy. How long has it been since she had this kind of freedom? But of course, Adrien has to ruin the vibe with one last warning. If she causes trouble, he'll lock her up for 10 years. The next morning, she sees him off with a smile, telling him to take care. She tells him to be careful, and he replies with a smirk, scoffing at her concern. She realizes he probably found her polite farewell hilarious. After all, every human, beast, and monster in the world bends to his will. He walks away, cloaked in power and mystery, and she watches him go equal parts afraid and proud. Rosenia watches Adrien walk away and mutters to herself that he's a terrifying villain. He sternly warns her not to wander around aimlessly. She scoffs, wondering if he thinks she's a dog or something. But with a bright smile, she reassures him that she'll stay put in the villa, saying it's fun enough just playing around there. Internally, though, she rolls her eyes and calls him a crazy sister-complex bastard. Adrien steps into the carriage, and Rosenia waves him off with the most innocent smile she can muster. She confirms to herself that he'll be gone for about a month, and the second the wheels start turning, she throws her arms up in victory. She shouts for him to go already and give her the sweet, sweet freedom she's been craving. Behind her polite farewell is a full-on celebration. Rosenia strolls through the villa, humming to herself and soaking in the silence of Adrien-free air. But her peace is short-lived. Adrien's summoned beast appears behind her, its glowing red eyes locked onto her like a furry surveillance drone. She freezes, realizing he really left this thing to spy on her. With a sigh, she wonders what to do about this clingy little stalker. The beast leans into her touch, clearly enjoying the attention. Rosenia decides there's only one way to deal with this bribery. She remembers that summoned beasts are obsessed with high-concentration mana balls, which apparently taste like cotton candy to them. As she smiles at the idea, she pictures various majestic beasts happily munching on glowing treats. If this works, she might just win her freedom back. Rosenia conjures a glowing mana ball with ease, holding it just out of reach. The beast's eyes widen with anticipation, practically drooling. She raises an eyebrow and wonders if this thing is actually a summoned creature, or just a very fluffy dog. Smirking, she twirls the mana ball in her fingers and teases it, saying it feels like a waste to just hand it over. The beast lets out a dramatic whine, and Rosenia chuckles, asking if it's really a dog. She holds up the mana ball and says it can have it, but only if it agrees to her terms. From now on, it has to get her approval before snitching to Adrien about anything she does or anyone she meets. If it plays nice, she promises unlimited mana balls all summer long. She leans in with a mischievous grin and asks how that deal sounds. The beast barks in agreement, sealing the deal. Rosenia grins and tells it to enjoy its prize, tossing the mana ball its way. As it munches happily, she casually mentions she's heading to the market and asks if it wants to tag along. The beast barks again, clearly down for the adventure. She adds that they sell fruit skewers there and asks if it wants one. Another bark seals it. This dog's got taste. They stroll through the market, and Rosenia casually wonders why a dog would even want a fruit skewer. She's quickly distracted when she bumps into a passerby and notices the sky turning gray. A sense of dread creeps in. If it rains, she could catch a cold. And if she catches a cold, her hard-earned freedom goes down the drain. She clenches her fists dramatically. Not today, weather gods. Not today. Rosenia munches on a fruit skewer, the beast trotting loyally beside her. She looks around and sighs in relief. It's been ages since she's been around normal people who aren't Magic Tower lunatics. She mentally ranks the tower's residents from psychos to absolute psychos. But her peaceful snack break is cut short when she notices the darkening sky again. She figures she should probably head back before the rain ruins everything. The rain comes down in full force, and Rosenia bolts, dragging the beast along with her. She knew this would happen. Of course it would rain the one time she dared to enjoy herself. They sprint through the villa gates, soaked to the bone, and she finally ducks under cover, shivering and annoyed. So much for a relaxing solo outing. Just as she's about to head inside, something catches her eye. A man is sprawled on the ground in the rain, completely unconscious. She freezes. What the? Who is this guy? She cautiously steps closer, holding her umbrella over him, and repeats the question. No response. Just a soaking wet mystery man on her property. Rosenia stares at the man lying unconscious in the rain, trying to process what she's seeing. Is he some kind of fugitive? Of all places to collapse, he had to choose the Hill family's private estate? She notes his light-colored hair and tall frame, trying to figure out if he's from around here. Something about him feels oddly familiar. She hesitates, wondering if she should even bother helping him. Curiosity wins out, and she nudges him with her foot. Suddenly, he gasps and jolts slightly, making her jump. His eyes flutter open slowly, and Rosenia finds herself staring at a face that's almost too beautiful to be real. Her brain short-circuits for a second. Now fully seeing his face, Rosenia's jaw practically hits the floor. Is that beauty even legal? She backs up slightly, overwhelmed, but the beast steps forward and growls lowly. It senses something off about the stranger. Rosenia glances between the two, unsure whether to swoon or run. Rosenia remembers that Adrien's phantom beast can detect hostility toward its master, but this guy didn't trigger a full-on attack, which means he must be connected to Adrien somehow. She racks her brain, trying to place his face. Then a memory surfaces. She's seen him before, at the royal banquet held at the Imperial Palace 4 years ago. That's it. She remembers now. Just once, at that lavish royal banquet, she saw him silver-haired, tall, and impossible to ignore. Even then, he had the kind of presence that made people stop and stare. And now he's here, unconscious at her feet, the male lead of the novel, the one destined to destroy everything. He had shone so brightly back then, dazzling even from across the room. But now Rosina stands frozen, staring at the man who might one day kill both her and Adrien, her sworn enemy. And he's lying helplessly right in front of her. What is she supposed to do with that? She's inside a romance fantasy novel called The Duke's One and Only Companion. In it, Sierra, a divine concubine, meets the Empire's only Duke Llewellyn Roshan. The story is dramatic, magical, and full of angst, and now she's living in it. In the story, Sierra and Llewellyn enter a contract relationship. The classic, we'll fake it till we feel it setup. It's trope-filled, sure, but the novel had something addictive about it. Even the clichés felt fresh. It had that devilish charm that kept her turning the pages. Llewellyn was the ultimate romantic weapon. He begged Sierra to look at him, promised to do anything for her, and whisper that she was his entire world. His seductions weren't just dramatic, they were emotionally devastating, the kind that made readers cry and scream into their pillows. Without her, he says, he's nothing. Llewellyn is the kind of male lead who only has eyes for the heroine and spirals into madness over her. He's sweet enough to make your heart flutter, but also dangerously obsessed. And when he says he's studied hard for tonight, yeah, that's when the fanbase collectively lost it. He was a virgin in the story, sure, but somehow had enough technique to make the female lead cry tears of joy. In her past life, Rosina was absolutely feral for this man. She remembers freaking out over scenes like that. Now here she is, face to face with him in real life, and she's convinced she must have hit her head and died. That's the only explanation. Okay, focus. She tells herself this isn't the time to fangirl. This man is the sworn enemy of the Hill family, and Adrien would lose his mind if he knew she let him in. But then she looks at his face again. He's just too handsome. There's no way she can leave a man that fine lying in the rain. Her priorities are in shambles. She hauls him inside and tells him he should be grateful for his ridiculous good looks. The beast growls, but she shuts it up with a warning no mana ball if it keeps barking. Somehow she manages to get his shirt off. But now she's stuck. How is she supposed to take off his pants? She stares at his body, stunned. Is this really what a male lead looks like? Because wow, Llewellyn lies unconscious on the bed, his body practically sculpted. Roz stares, completely overwhelmed. If she had to see this man every day, she'd be down bad in record time. He's exactly her type, and it's not fair, but now she's stuck with a dilemma, his pants. She needs to get them off to treat him properly, but her hands won't move. The idea of undressing him any further feels illegal. She debates whether she should just leave his pants and underwear on and call it a day. Roz hesitates, thinking about the cold. What if he gets sick because she left him half naked? Then it hits her magic. She can just use magic to swap out his clothes without touching anything. Easy fix, right? Except it's not. The man is so handsome she can't even cast a basic spell without her brain short-circuiting. She finally manages to remove his bottoms with magic and throws a shirt on him, but the shirt's so short it barely covers anything. Her face burns as she realizes she just turned the Duke into a walking thirst trap. Her heart thuds in her chest as she stares at him again. How can someone's muscles be that defined? The shirt she magically threw on him is so short it looks like she dressed him in a mini one-piece. And then it hits her. She forgot the underwear. She tries to rationalize it. It should be fine, right? Probably. Maybe. Either way, she needs to move him to the first-floor bedroom before someone walks in and sees this chaos. She prepares a fever reducer and gently tries to feed it to him. She urges him to drink all of it, hoping it'll help. But his fever only spikes higher, and he starts sweating. She watches him with growing concern. This isn't normal. His temperature is way too high. Internally, she's screaming, this man's fatality level is off the charts. If this were a game, he'd already be in the red zone. While trying to feed him the medicine, she accidentally spills a little. She leans in to wipe it, but suddenly his hand shoots up and grabs hers. She freezes. He's still unconscious. Or so she thought. Her brain short-circuits as she stares at him, completely unprepared for whatever this is turning into. Without warning, he pulls her into his arms. Her breath catches as his eyes flutter open. He looks at her, dazed but focused, and murmurs that she's the one who saved him. Her heart skips a beat. He's awake, he knows. And now she's in his arms, completely trapped in every possible way. He repeats softly that she's the one who saved him. She stammers, saying she couldn't just leave him out there in the storm. If he'd stayed, he might have died. He gives her a weak smile, and that's when it hits her. How is this man still this attractive while half dead? It's honestly unfair. He looks at her with quiet sincerity and says he wants to know the name of the person who saved him. She hesitates. Saying her name means revealing she's a Hill. But maybe, just maybe, if he knows she helped him, he'll hate her family a little less. It's a gamble, but one she's willing to take. She runs the math in her head. Adrien's been less unhinged lately, and if she plays this right, she might avoid the dead ending. Her inner strategist gives the green light. She looks up and says it clearly. Her name is Rosenia. She adds her full name, Rosenia Hill. He nods, as if confirming something he already suspected. Then, without warning, he pulls her into his arms. She squeaks in surprise, but he just holds her tighter, and murmurs that he knew it was her all along. She asks if he really knows who she is. He smiles and says, of course. She's Rosenia Hill, Adrien Hill's only sister, the princess of magic. Her face turns red instantly. Internally, she's malfunctioning. This man is way too smooth. Someone get her a fan. He leans in and says her name Rosenia, and asks if she knows who he is. She notices how naturally he says her name, like someone who said it 100 times before. She answers that he's Duke Llewellyn. He smiles and says so she does know him, still holding her close. She blushes furiously and tries to come up with a reason for knowing him. She stammers that it's because he's so famous. He smiles at her, clearly amused, and her heart does a full gymnastics routine in response. She stares at him, thinking he's almost unreal in how beautiful he is. He mentions they've only met once, but her beauty left a mark. He says she's someone who can't be forgotten after a single glance. She's not sure if she's about to faint or combust. She internally screams, "Why does he keep smiling at her like that?" It's giving seduction arc. She tries to wiggle out of his arms, but he sighs and pulls her in tighter. Now they're sitting together, wrapped up in a blanket like some kind of romantic drama, and she is not okay. He whispers her name, Rose. She panics, asking what's wrong. He groans softly, clearly still feverish, and repeats the nickname again. She freezes. Since when did they get on nickname terms? Who gave him the right to make it sound so intimate? She wonders if they were close in the original story, because he's acting way too familiar. He keeps calling her Rose and clings to her like a koala. She tries to pry herself free but can barely breathe. Then she touches his forehead and realizes he's burning up. Like, full-on fever furnace. He tells her he has a constant fever, and his throat feels like it's on fire. She starts to panic. Wait, these symptoms, they're way too familiar? She asks if his whole body aches. He nods. Yep, it's exactly what she feared. She realizes the truth. It's a mana overload. In the original novel, the only person who could calm the male lead's rampaging mana was the female lead. That's why the book was titled The Duke's Only Companion. Because she was literally the only one who could keep him alive without exploding the room. But then she freezes. If the female lead was the only one who could calm him, why is he having an overload in front of her, and in Adrien's bedroom, of all places? She's spiraling. According to the novel, there's only one way to fix this. And it's not exactly PG. There's only one way to calm the male lead's mana overload. Just one. Physical contact. And not the high-five kind. We're talking hugs, kisses, and maybe more if things get spicy. It could be something as innocent as a hug or as intense as a kiss. But Ross is losing it. Why is this happening with her and not Sierra, the actual female lead? Then he looks at her, eyes soft, and whispers, "Don't go, Roz." And just like that, she's toast. He pleads with her to stay by his side. She panics. This is bad. The overload is getting worse, and if it continues, he'll lose all reason. Being alone with him right now is like standing next to a ticking magical bomb. But her feet won't move. He pulls her close and says he has a favor to ask. She braces herself, already knowing this can't be good. Then he says, will you give me a kiss? Her brain short-circuits. She's officially, absolutely, and completely screwed. She remembers the original novel clearly, every detail, every consequence. And, in that story, if Llewellyn is left alone in this state, his mana won't just spiral out of control, it'll kill him. His body can't contain the overload for long, and if she walks away now, he won't survive. Roz's heart races at the thought of him dying right in front of her. No way she's letting that happen. But this kind of thing, calming a mana storm with physical affection, is supposed to be the heroine's job. She's just the Tower Master's little sister, not the main character. She shouldn't be involved with the male lead like this. But then Llewellyn looks at her with desperate eyes and begs her to kiss him, saying if it's not her, he'll die. Roz internally screams, "This is way too intimate for someone who's not even the heroine." She asks how bad it feels, and Llewellyn, barely holding on, says it feels like he's dying. His face is flushed, his breath ragged, and he clings to her like she's his last lifeline. He begs her again to save him. Ross stares at him, cheeks burning, wondering if he's really about to die right here in her lap. This wasn't supposed to happen. He was meant to meet the heroine, fall in love at first sight, and start that swoon-worthy romance arc. But now he's here, in her arms, begging for a kiss like his life depends on it. Roz gives up trying to make sense of it. Screw the plot. She blurts out that they'll just kiss first, because honestly, what else can she do right now? They lock eyes, both hesitating. Roz confirms, "Just a kiss, right?" Llewellyn nods and says they should kiss first. But something feels off, like they're having two completely different conversations. Still, she leans in, thinking whatever, let's just get this over with before he combusts. Their lips meet, and for a moment everything slows down. But then it hits her. There's a huge problem. She has no idea what she's doing. Is this how kissing is supposed to work? Her brain short-circuits. She pulls back, flustered, and unsure if she just made things better or worse. Before she can even process what just happened, Llewellyn leans in again, this time kissing her deeper. She tries to pull away, but he holds her close, his grip firm. Her mind spins as she realizes how intense this is getting, and she's not sure if this is still about mana or something else entirely. Breathless, she asks if they really have to do it like this. Llewellyn, still panting, replies without hesitation, of course. That's when her internal alarms start blaring. Why is he so confident? Is he even still suffering from mana overload? What if he's totally fine and just pulling the ultimate power move? The blue mana that had been crackling around him is now calm, soft like a breeze. She figured he'd stop once it's settled, but nope, he's still going. Like, sir, the mana calmed down 5 minutes ago. Why are you still acting like you're on the verge of death? She shoves him back and calls his name in disbelief. He calmly replies, like, nothing's wrong. She tries to end it, saying they should stop now, but he dives back in for another kiss. Her brain short-circuits. What is this idiot Duke doing? What if she ends up single forever because of this? What about the actual heroine? Why is he doing this with her instead? Suddenly, Llewellyn stops. He looks down, his expression unreadable. Ross blinks in confusion, wondering what just happened. Then he says her name softly, almost like he's hurt. And just like that, guilt punches her straight in the gut. She tries to end things gently, telling him they should stop. But Llewellyn looks her in the eye and says he wants her to keep going. Ross stares at him, stunned. This man is dangerous in every possible way. Emotionally, magically, romantically. But she has one rule she's never broken. Don't touch another woman's man. Ross tries to bring some logic back into the room. She says, this kind of relationship isn't right. It's too impulsive. Llewellyn raises an eyebrow and asks if she means he's acting on impulse. She nods, trying to stay firm, but when he smiles at her like that, her resolve starts to crumble. He finally relents, saying they'll just kiss today. He pulls her into a hug, and Roz is hit with the full force of his charm. He's too good-looking, and it's not fair. She panics, blurts out that he should sleep, and sprints out of there like her life depends on it. If she stays any longer, she'll fall for him completely. Ross storms off, fuming. How can he kiss her like that and then sit there looking like a lost puppy? She tells him to cover up and get some rest since he got soaked in the rain. Then she uses magic to gently push him down and tuck him in like a misbehaving toddler. Honestly, this man is chaos wrapped in silk. She calls out a cheerful goodnight and leaves the room, trying to calm her racing heart. Outside, the night is peaceful, but inside that house, nothing is calm. Llewellyn lies in bed, eyes wide open. Yeah, he's definitely not asleep. And something tells her this is only the beginning of the chaos. At the night's camp, someone asks if there's been any word from His Excellency. Another grumbles that it's taking too long. Bilky, the commander, stays calm. He reminds them that the Duke said he'd be gone for about a month, so they should relax. Meanwhile, he sharpens his sword like he's waiting for a storm to hit. One of the blonde knights sighs dramatically. His Excellency is the only one who breaks his bones, and he actually likes that. He wonders aloud if the Duke will return, with the Mage Tower's weakness this time, and asks if it's okay to get his hopes up. Bilky tells him to stop daydreaming and go train. The knight grins and calls out to the others, asking who wants to spar. The others? Probably already running. Night settles over the villa. Roz finally gets a moment to breathe. She flops down in the living room, exhausted. What a roller coaster of a day. She even bought a few outfits she thought Llewellyn might like, hoping to make him feel more at home. But after everything that just happened, she's not sure if she's helping him or digging her own grave. She wonders if Llewellyn is asleep by now. His words echo in her head. Just a kiss for tonight. But that kiss wasn't exactly planned. It just happened. And she swears to herself there won't be a next time. Seriously. She's been down the lovesick road before in her past life, and she's not about to repeat that mess. Still flustered, Ross decides a hot bath is the only way to calm down. Maybe even a glass of milk from the kitchen. Something, anything, to reset her brain. She walks down the hall, trying to shake off the tension. But something still feels off. Like the night isn't quite done with her yet. She turns a corner and slams right into Llewellyn's shirt open, abs out, looking like a romance novel cover come to life. Her eyes widen. He's awake? Why is he awake? And why is he walking around dressed like that? Or rather, not dressed. Llewellyn calmly calls her name, but Ross is already spiraling. Wasn't he supposed to be asleep? She stares at him, then realizes with horror, he's completely exposed down there. She screams internally and externally, demanding to know if he's lost his mind. Mimi, cover yourself. This is not that kind of hallway encounter. Roz steps back in a panic and immediately slips, her balance giving out beneath her bare feet. Before she can hit the floor, Llewellyn catches her effortlessly, one arm around her waist, the other steadying her back. She finds herself pressed against him, his chest exposed and way too close for comfort. Her brain short-circuits. This is not how hallway chats are supposed to go. She stares up at him, cheeks burning, and for a second, it feels like time freezes. He doesn't say a word, just looks down at her with that calm expression, while she internally screams at the absurd romance novel physics of it all. Llewellyn casually explains that he woke up and couldn't fall back asleep, so he decided to wash up. Ross, still reeling from the accidental embrace, tries to act normal and says it's fine, though her brain is screaming otherwise. He mentions he used cold water to cool down, which only raises more questions she's not ready to ask. She quickly blurts out that he should really put on some clothes first. He nods like this is all perfectly normal, and says he'll take his leave. As he turns to go, she almost offers to help with something. Anything, but stops herself mid-sentence, realizing how that would sound. Abort mission. Abort. Roz replays his last words in her head. Did he seriously just offer to help her with anything? Was he about to help her bathe? Her brain short-circuits again. That's not male lead behavior. That's demon-possessed love interest energy. She stares after him, baffled, then rushes away from the bath area like it's cursed ground. Her thoughts spiral into chaos. Is this really the same guy who was supposed to be cold and aloof? Because right now, he's giving off, quote, flirty chaos gremlin vibes. Storming down the hall in her nightgown, Ross grits her teeth and mentally curses him. You damn Duke! Why are you still following me? She doesn't even look back, but she knows he's right behind her. She whirls around, ready to unleash verbal fire, but instead finds him smiling like a smug prince who knows exactly what he's doing. And unfortunately, it's working. Her brain says run, but her heart is like, maybe. Roz mentally spirals. He must have lost his mind from mana backlash. That's the only explanation. The Hill and Lachion families have been enemies for generations, like historical feud levels of bad. And yet somehow, she, the daughter of House Hill, is the one who calmed the Duke's mana rampage. Great. Now she's harboring the enemy in her house like some magical fugitive babysitter. This is not what she signed up for when she reincarnated. The Duke has clearly gone off the rails. Roz wonders what the Lachion family would think if they found out their heir was wandering around half-naked and emotionally clingy. She sighs, deciding she'll just have to keep hiding him for now. She hands him a drink and says she feels better, trying to reset the mood. He thanks her sincerely, and for a moment, things feel almost normal. Almost. As they walk together, Roz notices Llewellyn inching closer and closer. Why does he keep closing the distance, like this is a slow-burn rom-com? She panics, loses her footing again, and nearly faceplants for the second time tonight. But once again, he catches her like some kind of romance anime protagonist. He gently asks if she's okay, and she nods, though her pride is in critical condition. His voice echoes in her head, "Are you okay?" No, she's absolutely not okay. Her heart is doing gymnastics, and Llewellyn is leaning in like this is the final scene of a K-drama. Before she can process it, he kisses her. It's soft, deliberate, and completely derails her mental operating system. She freezes, overwhelmed by the sudden rush of emotions, and the fact that this is now the second unplanned kiss of the week. Roz's thoughts swirl in chaos. The reason she's like this flustered, confused, and emotionally scrambled is all because of him. Llewellyn kisses her again, and the world narrows to just the two of them. She doesn't know what this is or where it's going, but she knows one thing for sure. This man has completely thrown her off her game. She has no idea how long they've been standing there like this. Her breathing is uneven, her thoughts a mess, and yet Llewellyn hasn't let go. She expected him to release her by now, maybe say something suave and walk away. But no, he's still holding her like she's the only thing grounding him. And despite her better judgment, she doesn't pull away either. The tension between them is unbearable, and yet he leans in again, kissing her with a gentleness that makes her knees weak. Ross's mind flashes to Adrien. Oh God, Adrien is going to murder her if he finds out. She feels guilty for the other woman involved, but also completely powerless to stop herself. Llewellyn pulls back slightly and says he's sorry. But his eyes say he's not that sorry. Ross's brain is screaming that she should have stopped this 10 minutes ago, but her body isn't listening. Llewellyn says her name softly, like it means something. She looks up at him, her heart pounding like it's trying to escape her chest. He says it again, and it's all she can do not to melt on the spot. He pulls her into a hug and quietly reminds her she kissed him first. Roz freezes, her face turning crimson. She glares up at him, but he doesn't budge. Instead, he holds her tighter, like he's daring her to deny it. Her mind spirals. What the hell did she just do? Is this what losing your mind in slow motion feels like? Ross snaps out of it and shoves him back, yelling for him not to move. He looks stunned and apologizes, saying he acted on impulse. She takes a deep breath, trying to reset her brain. Next time, she tells herself, this won't happen. No more accidental kisses. No more hallway drama. She's putting a lid on this chaos starting now. He pleads softly, saying he was the one who lost control. Roz doesn't know how to respond, but then he laughs, genuinely, warmly, and says her name with a smile. It's disarming. She's supposed to be mad, but instead she's standing there thinking, how is he this charming even when apologizing? Roz watches him laugh and panics. Why is he laughing? What did she miss? He says this whole moment made everything worth it. She stares at him like he just spoke in riddles. When she asks what he means, he brushes it off with a casual nothing and suggests they go to sleep. She's not sure if she wants to scream or swoon. He asks with a straight face if he should carry her to her room. Roz immediately yells no, her voice cracking from sheer panic. He just smiles, clearly amused, while she turns on her heel and walks away as fast as dignity allows. She doesn't look back. She can feel his eyes on her, and that's already too much to handle. Before she can escape completely, he leans in and kisses her hair, whispering goodnight. Roz lies in bed later, staring at the ceiling like it just betrayed her. Morning light filters in, and she bolts upright in a panic. She has to get up first. If she doesn't keep an eye on him, who knows what kind of chaos he'll unleash before breakfast. Roz sprints through the house like it's a hostage rescue mission. She slides to a stop at his door, peeks in and sees him still asleep. Thank God. She sighs in relief, patting the dog on the head like it helped. Crisis averted for now. She tiptoes closer and gently calls his name. Duke Llewellyn. No response. She tries again, a little louder. Slowly, he stirs, and one green eye peeks open. She exhales, relieved. At least he's not dead. That's always a win. Just as she relaxes, he grabs her and yanks her into bed like it's the most natural thing in the world. Roz screams in pure confusion and flails, but he just rolls over and hugs her like a human body pillow. She gasps, caught between panic and disbelief. What is this man's sleep schedule? And why is she part of it now? Roz lies frozen, wondering who in the world sleeps like this. His sleeping habits are unhinged. She tries to wiggle free, but he stirs and blinks awake, murmuring her name. She sits up with a sigh, exhausted before the day even starts. This man is going to be the death of her. Llewellyn jolts up, flustered, and immediately apologizes. He says he was half asleep and thought it was a dream. Roz stares at him, and despite everything, her heart does a little flip. Even his awkwardness is cute. She curses herself for being such a hopeless fool in love. She tells him to go wash up and have breakfast, pointing out the clean clothes she left in the living room. She needs a moment to reboot her brain. Watching him walk off, Roz thinks to herself, how can someone be this wicked and still look like a fallen angel? After breakfast, she gathers her courage and asks if he'd like to go see the ocean together. Maybe some fresh air will clear her head, or at least give her a chance to reset before she loses it again. They sit by the ocean, the breeze gentle, and the view serene. Roz asks if the meal was to his liking. Llewellyn nods and says yes, but then adds that he was so focused on looking at her, he can't even remember the taste. Roz practically short circuits. This man is not eating food. He's devouring her sanity with that smile. Llewellyn admits that he was so focused on looking at Roz, he couldn't even remember the taste of the food. His words land like a sneak attack, and Roz short circuits on the spot. That smile, soft, deliberate, and just a little too perfect, feels like a weapon. She stares at him, internally screaming, wondering why it feels like this man is constantly trying to seduce her with nothing but eye contact and polite conversation. What's with that devastating eye smile? Is this man a duke or a walking romance novel? Roz grits her teeth, resisting the urge to pinch Llewellyn's cheeks just to wipe that ridiculously beautiful smile off his face. Why does he keep smiling like that? Is he just naturally charming? Or is this a full-time job for him? As they stroll along the shore, she watches him closely, trying to decode whether he's just a cheerful person or if he's secretly plotting her emotional collapse, one flirty smile at a time. Roz notices Llewellyn staring off to the side and asks what's caught his attention. He doesn't answer right away, but his eyes narrow with a dark glint. She follows his gaze and spots a group of men nearby, clearly sneaking glances at her. Llewellyn's thoughts are sharp and unfiltered. Those bastards keep staring at Roz. She senses the shift in his mood and blinks, confused by the sudden tension radiating off him like a storm cloud. Roz realizes the men are captivated by her and breathes a sigh of relief that her brother Adrien isn't here. He would have caused a scene and probably threatened to gouge their eyes out. But then, a chill runs down her spine. She turns to see Llewellyn standing there, radiating pure frost. The air turns icy as he glares at the men, who instantly regret their life choices and huddle together like kids caught stealing cookies. No words, just cold-blooded intimidation. Roz walks beside him, mentally spiraling. She has no idea what's happening anymore, but if this is her life now, she might as well enjoy the view. She stares at Llewellyn's face like it's a Renaissance painting, only to be caught in the act. He turns to her with a smile, and asks if his face is to her liking. Her brain promptly blue screens. Roz stammers out a response, saying of course she likes his face. Who in their right mind wouldn't? That face could launch 1,000 ships. But then her curiosity gets the better of her. She looks up at him and asks, just a little too earnestly, what she's like in his eyes. Her heart flutters, hoping for something sincere, maybe even a little romantic. Roz knows she's not exactly a troll, but this man's standards seem sky high. When he hesitates, she spirals. What if she's not his type? Is he trying to figure out how to reject her gently? But then he takes her hand and says her name softly. He tells her that to him, she's always been, and trails off, the weight of his words hanging between them like a promise. Llewellyn finally speaks, calling her an enchanting presence. Ross doesn't realize just how deeply she's affected him. He recalls the night in the rain and tells her it would have been easier if she had just left him there. But she didn't. She stayed. And now, he knows. He knows how much she means to him, even if she doesn't yet. Back at the house, Llewellyn casually announces that he'll prepare dinner, and asks Ross to wash up first. She freezes mid-step. The Duke of Rosenia cooking? That's like hearing a royal decree that the sun will rise in the west tomorrow. If anyone else saw this, they'd probably faint on the spot. With a soft smile, Llewellyn confirms that, yes, he wants to show off his cooking skills for her. Roz blinks in disbelief. This was definitely not in the original script. She takes a bite, and to her surprise, it's actually delicious. She beams and says so, still trying to process how she ended up in a rom-com cooking segment. He serves her a plate and asks if it's to her liking. Llewellyn gently wipes the corner of her mouth with a napkin, then leans in and kisses her cheek without warning. Roz freezes, mid-bite, her brain buffering like a slow-loading web page. What just happened? Did he really just kiss her mid-dinner like it was no big deal? She stares at him, completely flustered and internally screaming. Roz stammers in disbelief, wondering if Llewellyn's magic went haywire again. But his eyes are clear, calm, and very much in control. He reaches for her hand with quiet confidence, and she is left staring at him, unsure whether to pull away or lean in. This man is either a genius or completely unhinged, and she's not sure which is more dangerous. Ross's heart wavers, and she tells herself it's time to draw the line. She asks when he plans to return to Rosenia Castle, trying to sound casual. Llewellyn meets her gaze and replies with quiet finality, "He's not going back." Her breath catches. That wasn't the answer she expected, and it only makes everything more complicated. He says he's not returning yet because he hasn't won her heart the way he wants to. Roz's brain short-circuits. Why is this man trying so hard to win her favor? Unless he has another motive? She starts spiraling, wondering if this kindness is all part of a bigger plan. Is he hiding something? Is this some kind of long game? Her paranoia kicks into high gear. Llewellyn calls out to her, but Roz says she's not feeling well and excuses herself. She thanks him for the meal, her voice soft, and tells him to rest too. Alone in her room, she curls up in bed with her thoughts spinning. She hopes the night passes quietly, but deep down, she knows peace is probably too much to ask for. Adrien's wolf whines, nudging her for attention. Roz sighs and tosses it a mana ball, expecting a quiet moment, but the moment the ball activates, magic swirls around her. A vision begins to form, and her eyes widen. This isn't just random magic. This is Adrien. Somehow, he's reaching out to her. Adrien's voice echoes from the mana ball, telling her it'll take about 10 days for him to arrive. Roz nearly faints. 10 days? That's not enough time to survive whatever Llewellyn's doing. Adrien warns her to stay out of trouble and stay healthy until then. Roz, already spiraling, screams internally and externally. She's absolutely screwed. Roz's thoughts spiral into full crisis mode. What if Adrien finds out about Llewellyn staying here? Should she secretly contact the Duchy of Rosenia? But Llewellyn keeps refusing to leave. Do his retainers even know he's living with the daughter of their enemy? This is a political disaster waiting to happen. She groans, realizing she needs to reply to Adrien before things get worse. Roz sends her reply, pretending to be sweet and excited about seeing her brother again. She knows Adrien will eat that line up. But deep down, she's on edge. With about 7 days left, she knows she has to stay alert. Llewellyn is too unpredictable, and she still can't tell if he's pretending to be crazy or if that's just who he is. For now, Roz decides to keep a close eye on Llewellyn, even if it means playing spy in her own house. Honestly, this whole situation is painfully unromantic. She sighs and heads inside, not noticing the owl perched outside, silently watching as night settles over the villa. Roz wakes up groggy, her body stiff. She blinks, confused. Why is this bed so hard? She sits up and freezes. This isn't her bed. And that's Llewellyn, peacefully asleep, right next to her. Again. How does this man keep sneaking into her sleep cycle like it's part of his daily routine? Llewellyn sighs, saying she pushed him away before, but now she's stirring things up again. Roz hides under the blanket, realizing this definitely isn't her room. He gently says that from the moment he saw her, he knew. No pressure or anything. She should have let him die, he says, but now that she didn't, he'll never let her go. Roz locks eyes with him just before he leans in and kisses her. Her heart slams against her chest. She gasps, breathless, and calls out to him, unsure if she's asking for answers or something else entirely. Anyone could see this man wants her, desperately. But why? Llewellyn tells her to ask anything, so Roz blurts out the one question that's been bugging her. Is he experienced? He blinks, caught off guard, clearly not expecting that. She clarifies, asking if he's ever been with another woman. The silence that follows is deafening. Ross's question lingers in the air. Has he ever been with another woman like that? The silence stretches until she jolts upright, flustered by her own boldness. Llewellyn blinks, clearly caught off guard. He exhales and mutters her name with a mix of disbelief and amusement, then asks what exactly she thinks of him. Roz stares at him, unsure if he's offended, amused, or both. Honestly, she can't tell if she just insulted him or flirted with him. Roz hesitates, trying to reconcile the famously popular Duke with the man in front of her. The mental image of him surrounded by fangirls is hard to shake. She blurts out, half joking, half terrified, if he really means she's the only one. Llewellyn lowers his gaze, then looks up with quiet conviction. He tells her she's the only one he's ever given himself to. No one else. Not ever. Roz's breath catches, overwhelmed by the weight of his words. This man is not playing around. Llewellyn leans in and softly says that for him, it's always been her. Ross's mind spins. She worries she crossed a line, but he gently reassures her that it's all right. He admits that he's uneasy too, not knowing where they stand. He's not angry, just anxious, just like her. It's the first time he's laid his feelings bare like this, and Ross realizes she's not the only one confused by whatever this is between them. Ross tries to dismiss his words as just more sweet-talking nonsense, but the unease in her chest won't go away. She stares at him and finally asks a question that's been nagging her. Why was he found collapsed alone on Hill Family Land? Llewellyn meets her gaze without flinching. This time, she's not backing down. She's getting an answer, no matter what. When he hesitates, Roz presses again. This is important. She needs to know. Llewellyn, ever the king of deflection, shrugs and says it doesn't seem that important to him. Roz stares at him, mentally screaming. This man just dodged a serious question with the confidence of someone who's never been held accountable in his life. Shameless. Absolutely shameless. Roz snaps, telling him not to dodge the question. Llewellyn finally answers. He doesn't remember. Not just the incident. Anything. His memory is a blank slate. He admits that if she hadn't saved him, he probably wouldn't be alive. That's why, until he regains his memory, he doesn't want to return to the duchy. Roz's frustration softens into confusion. This isn't the answer she expected. So that's the reason. Llewellyn gently takes her hand and tells her that whatever this connection is between them, it helps him, it grounds him. He asks if she'll allow him to touch her, to kiss her, to go further. His voice is low, but his words are clear. Ross's heart skips several beats. This man just dropped a full romance novel pitch in one breath and is now waiting for her RSVP. Night blankets the villa in silence. Inside the room, Ross lies awake, her thoughts tangled in everything that's happened. Beside her, Llewellyn sits quietly, his presence both comforting and overwhelming. She doesn't know what tomorrow holds, but for now, this strange peace between them is enough. Llewellyn shifts beside her, sitting up and reaching out. Ross stammers his title, unsure what he's doing. He gently tells her to stay still, calling her a good girl. Her entire system goes into emergency shutdown. What is this man doing to her nervous system? Half asleep, Roz murmurs that she's hungry, then softly calls out a name, Adrien. Llewellyn freezes. That name hits him like a slap. She stirs, lost in a dream, and he watches as she reaches out, not for him, but for someone else. Her brother, Adrien. The one who came before him. There's someone closer to Ross than he is. Llewellyn knows it. Adrien Hill, her brother, her protector, her blood. And no matter how close Llewellyn gets, there's a part of her world he can never touch. If he could, Llewellyn would erase every memory of Adrien from her mind. He wants all of her. Her beginning, her end, her heart, her soul, every moment of her life. He doesn't just want to be part of her story, he wants to be the whole book. When did this obsession begin? Llewellyn thinks back. It wasn't the banquet 4 years ago. No, it started even earlier, during an early summer at the Rosenia ducal estate, when the lilacs were in full bloom. He remembers the day clearly. He was 13, and something inside him snapped. On impulse, he ran chasing something he couldn't name. That was the day everything started to shift. A birthday gift arrives from Count Enrico, but Llewellyn barely reacts. Everyone looks at him with pity. An orphan, with dead parents and a tragic backstory. He's tired of it. Just once, he wants a day that doesn't feel like a performance. He doesn't even know what kind of affection they expect from him. He's never met his parents. Everyone assumes he's a sweet, quiet child, but it's all an act. Maybe, just once, he can break the rules, step outside the lines, just once for himself. She left only a letter behind, no explanations, just ran. That was the beginning. The moment she chose freedom over duty and unknowingly set everything into motion. The train, powered by magic stones, races across the land. She arrives at the southern Rashion Duchy, stepping off at Ives Station. The place feels oddly familiar, like a memory she never made. This region belongs to House Hill, but she's not worried. The mages here are no threat to her. She knows what they see her as. A rare specimen, a freak with both divine and magical power. A perfect test subject. Lunatics, the lot of them. She's not afraid of House Hill. Following the scent of roses, she finds herself drawn to a beautiful villa. Just a peek wouldn't hurt, right? She steps closer, curiosity blooming with every breath. What kind of hopeless romantic builds a villa like this? It's almost suspicious. Maybe it's a front for something darker. Then she sees her, a girl with pink hair, sitting quietly among the flowers. Instinctively, she stops to watch. The girl is asleep, surrounded by white blossoms. Her face is serene, almost unreal. The observer's eyes widen. Who is she? Could she be the daughter of House Hill's head? The one raised in mystery and magic? From a distance, she watches the pink-haired girl sneeze delicately. The girl's posture, her aura, it all screams nobility. The observer narrows her eyes. The Archmage's daughter, no doubt. But is she already dabbling in dark magic? And if so, what else is she hiding? He sits stiffly at the tea table, pretending to read while keeping one eye on the pink-haired girl beside him. With a quick glance, he opens the book she handed him, expecting grimoires or cursed symbols. Instead, he finds pages of dessert recipes, complete with colorful illustrations of cakes and parfaits. His shoulders drop. All that suspicion, all that mental prep, and she's just out here curating a sugar fantasy. His vigilance was for nothing. She's not a dark sorceress, she's a pastry enthusiast. Their eyes meet, her gaze bright and unblinking. He freezes, unsure if he should bow, run, or fake a fainting spell. She stands and steps toward him, and he instinctively backs away. But she doesn't let up. She follows, closing the distance like a bunny-shaped boss battle. In his mind, this was supposed to be a stealth mission. Instead, he's getting poked in the forehead by a girl who radiates both cuteness and menace. He's not prepared for this level of social combat. He panics. Is she really a noble lady? She doesn't act like one. She leans in and asks who he is, and he blurts out something about being a servant's daughter. Smooth. She doesn't question it. Instead, she smiles and tells him he's really pretty. His brain short-circuits. Compliments weren't part of the mission briefing. He blushes so hard he might combust. This girl is dangerous. But not in the way he expected. As soon as she compliments him, he bolts. She calls out, confused and a little amused, asking where he's going. But he's already halfway down the path, running like his life depends on it. His heart pounds, not from fear, but from something far more chaotic, flustered embarrassment. He risks a glance back. Her bright pink eyes are still on him. He trips over his own thoughts and keeps running. Before her birthday could arrive, his early summer escapade came to a screeching halt. He left the villa behind and returned to the world of titles and responsibilities. The train to the Rashion Duchy was punctual, efficient, and emotionally numbing. Forgetting the girl with the pink hair, the one who sneezed among roses and called him pretty, should have been easy, and for a while, it was. It should have been easy, that's what he told himself. But 4 years and 3 months later, life throws him a curveball wrapped in royal wax. An invitation arrives from the Empress herself. The seal is unmistakable. Whatever peace he built in those years is about to be shattered. He sighs, already regretting the social obligations ahead. His advisor asks if he'll attend the banquet. He reluctantly agrees. The advisor nods and says they'll prepare his formal attire. He pauses, then casually adds that it should be blue. Not because he cares about fashion, but because that color reminds him of something, or someone. He hasn't quite forgotten. The banquet hall is a sea of silk, chandeliers, and carefully practiced smiles. Nobles mingle, gossip flows like wine, and he steps in, dressed in midnight blue. He doesn't care for these events, but tonight is different. Tonight, he's here for someone. He hears the whispers before he sees them. Adrien Hill and his sister are attending. The crowd parts as they enter, Adrien commanding attention like a storm in formal wear. Beside him, she walks in Rosenia, radiant in a blue gown that makes the room blur around her. He forgets to breathe. Adrien stands like a living warning sign, cloaked in magic and menace. Guests murmur, recognizing the Archmage. But he only sees her. The girl with the pink hair, now a woman, still unforgettable. His heart stumbles over itself as memories flood back. She's here, she's real. It's her. The same girl who once sneezed among flowers now stands poised and elegant. Her dress is royal blue, her presence even more vivid than he remembered. In his mind, she's still the girl who smiled at him in a garden of roses. But now, she's something more. Something unreachable. Adrien introduces her with a single name, Rosenia Hill. The name echoes in his mind like a spell. A nobleman approaches and, clearly enchanted, tells her he thought a rose had just entered the hall. She laughs politely, and for a moment the room feels warmer. He watches her dance, graceful and unguarded. Why now? Why reveal herself after all this time? She had hidden so well, stayed out of sight. But now she shines in the center of the room, and he can't look away. Frustration coils in his chest. She was supposed to stay hidden, safe, distant. Not like this. That damn crown prince. He clenches his fists, half joking to himself about just deposing the guy, but then he catches himself. What is he even thinking? He shakes his head, trying to clear the jealousy fog, but it's too late. The damage is done. He's fully spiraling. Their eyes meet across the ballroom. Adrien's gaze is sharp, unreadable. His own is full of unspoken challenge. The air between them tightens like a drawn bowstring. It's not just about Rosenia anymore. It's about pride, power, and the fact that neither of them is backing down. What am I even thinking? He tries to dismiss the thoughts, but they linger. The name tastes bitter now. He watches the man who stands between him and the girl he can't forget, and something inside him hardens. Adrien Hill. He won't give up. Not this time. Adrien throws him a glare sharp enough to cut glass. He watches as Rosenia dances with the crown prince, her smile easy, her steps light. Jealousy burns in his chest. He doesn't just want to be near her, he wants to be the only one allowed near her. And that's a problem. The nobles whisper about marriage alliances and tower politics. Someone jokes about gouging out eyes, and honestly, he's not far from considering it. Everyone's looking at her like she's a prize. But she's more than that. She's Rosenia Hill. And when she turns and locks eyes with him, the rest of the room fades. Their eyes meet again. For a second, it's just the two of them. He stands like a prince out of a fairy tale, and she can't help but think, damn, he's really handsome. But the moment shatters when Adrien steps in and pulls her close. The spell's broken, and jealousy flares once more. The gossip flows again. People speculate about marriage for both the Tower Lord and his sister. Some scoff at the Hills, saying they have no titles, just magic and influence. They call Rosenia pretty and kind-looking, but still a hill mage. He clenches his jaw. These people don't know her. But he does, and he's not letting them define her. One noble crosses the line, questioning the Hill's morals. His patience snaps. He cuts them off with a cold, sharp command. Shut your mouth. The room goes quiet as he storms out, his cloak trailing behind him like a storm cloud. He doesn't care who's watching. He's done pretending to be indifferent. The Duke's room is a chaotic shrine to shiny things and sweets. Jewelry boxes overflow, and dessert recipe books are stacked like sacred texts. His advisor watches in silent horror. Why is he collecting all this? Why is he reading about moose techniques? The answer is simple. He's spiraling. And it's all because of her. Life got too boring. That's the only explanation. Then, May arrived, and with it, Rosenia's summer flower. She bloomed in his thoughts, like an invasive species, vivid, thorny, impossible to ignore. He tries to focus on paperwork, but her image keeps slipping into every margin. He stares out the window, watching the roses bloom and wondering how to meet her again. The more he thinks about it, the more obsessed he becomes. But Adrien Hill keeps ignoring his letters. His advisor offers no help, just confusion. He's starting to realize he might be losing it. He vents, pacing and ranting about Adrien ignoring him. His advisor blinks. Confused? Adrien Hill? The Tower Lord? He demands a way to get letters to Rosenia directly. The advisor looks like he's aged 10 years and 10 seconds. Is the Duke suggesting the Tower Lord is imprisoning his own sister? He asks for ideas. The advisor has none. Honestly, he's just trying to survive this meltdown. The Duke sighs. He was an idiot to think this would be simple. Back then at the banquet, he had the perfect chance. She was right there, radiant and alone, but he froze. He was too flustered, too unsure. Now looking back, he regrets not saying a single word. If he had known how obsessed he would become, how she would take root in his mind like a stubborn weed, he would have done something, anything. Actually, no. He thinks he should have just kidnapped her. His advisor watches him pacing in circles, muttering nonsense, and silently concludes that the Duke has officially lost it. Driven by sheer obsession, he finally finds a way to reach Rosenia. She always vacations in this town during the summer, and if his timing is right, she should be here now. But instead of sending a letter or showing up like a normal person, he dispatches his divine beast, because subtlety is dead. The creature draws attention immediately. Bystanders gawk at the massive white dog, unsure if it's a wolf, a retriever, or some magical hybrid. One guesses it might be a mage's pet. Another wonders why it's alone. The answer? Because its master is a lovesick Duke with zero chill. The divine beast sniffs the air, scanning for any trace of her. Its emerald eyes narrow with purpose. It vaults over the fence with practiced grace and lands softly on the pavement, tail swishing. This isn't just a dog, it's a magical tracker on a mission. Rosenia vacations here every summer. If his guess is right, she's nearby. And if he's wrong, then he's just sent a glowing wolf into a tourist town for nothing. Either way, he wonders why he didn't return sooner. Probably because he was in denial about how down bad he really is. The beast trots through the garden paths, nose twitching, ears perked. He searches every corner, every breeze, every flower bed. But she's not here. The villa is still, the air too quiet. Panic creeps in. Did she not come this year? Has she already left? He watches through the beast's eyes, heart sinking. Not here. Gone. The thought hits him like a punch. Will he never see her again? Then, just as hope starts to fade, there she is. Rosenia steps into the garden, her eyes locking with the beast's. She pauses mid-step, confused. Her first reaction isn't fear or awe. It's a simple, slightly annoyed question. Why is there a dog in her garden? The divine beast stares back, tail subtly wagging, trying to look as non-threatening as a magical wolf can. Mission: don't get kicked out immediately. Rosenia tilts her head and wonders aloud what this dog is doing here. The beast doesn't move, just sits patiently as she approaches. Inside the Duke's mind, he's screaming. She's getting closer. She's reaching out. He watches through the divine link, heart pounding. She kneels beside the creature, eyes soft with curiosity. He thinks to himself, it's warm, it's soft. If this is what being a dog feels like, maybe he could live like this forever. Not ideal, but honestly, not bad. She reaches out and gently strokes the divine beast's head. It immediately flops onto its back like a giant fluffy pancake. She giggles, calling it gentle and fluffy. The Duke, watching from the other side of the link, is having a full-blown crisis. What has he done? He's a grown man pretending to be a dog for affection. But also, she's petting him. So maybe it's fine. Maybe if he just keeps this up, she'll get used to him. Then one day, he'll reveal his identity and she won't run screaming. That's the plan. It's not a good plan, but it's all he's got. Rosenia lies beside the beast, cuddling it like a body pillow. He melts. It's warm. It's soft. He thinks, if this is the price of being near her, he could live as a dog forever. He watches her smile and wonders if it would be okay to kiss her cheek, just once. But then he immediately shuts that thought down. No, absolutely not. That's too shameless, even for a man-turned-dog. Meanwhile, Rosenia wonders if the gate was open or if there's a hole in the fence. She has no idea the real breach is in her personal space. He pants nervously, caught in a spiral. He can't become her lover like this. Not as a dog. Should he transform now? Reveal himself? But what if she screams? What if she runs? Maybe if he just stays like this a bit longer, lets her get used to him, the reveal won't be so terrifying. He imagines her smiling at him as a man instead of a mutt. Then the thought returns. Just one kiss. One tiny kiss. No. That's too much. Even he has standards. Barely. Then the worst possible voice cuts through the garden. Adrien. The Tower Lord himself. The Duke freezes mid-thought. Adrien walks over, eyes sharp, and asks what's with the dog. Rosenia explains she found it in the garden. Adrien narrows his eyes. The Duke tries to look innocent, but his internal monologue is spiraling. Did Adrien figure it out? Did he just get exposed as a man in a dog suit? This is not how he imagined their reunion going. Adrien asks Rosenia if she brought the dog here. She shakes her head. He scoffs, saying he's never kept a dumb beast that can't even talk. The Duke flinches. That was aimed directly at him. Rosenia defends it, saying divine beasts can't talk either. Adrien shuts that down fast. This isn't a divine beast, it's a dog. Period. The Duke starts sweating. Has he been found out? Is this it? Will his love story end with him getting neutered? The Duke realizes he needs to get out. Now. If Adrien catches him snooping around the Hill family villa in dog form, it's game over. He bolts. Adrien's eyes flash with power. He's about to use magic. Rosenia shouts for him to stop, warning that if he uses that spell, something bad will happen. But it's too late. The Duke is already mid-air, praying he doesn't get vaporized. Adrien unleashes divine power, light crackling through the air. The Duke narrowly dodges, sprinting like his life depends on it. Because it does. Adrien watches him flee, eyes narrowed, and murmurs something about divine energy. Rosenia looks shaken, confused by the sudden burst of power and the mysterious dog's reaction. Meanwhile, the Duke doesn't stop running. He's not just escaping magic, he's escaping humiliation. He races through the woods, paws pounding the earth. Then, finally, he transforms back into his human form, breath ragged. He stands barefoot among the trees and whispers her name. Rose. the nickname Adrien used. It stings. He wonders if she'll ever look at him the way she looks at her brother, or if he'll always be just a stranger man or mutt. 4 years pass. Time moves forward, but he doesn't. Adrien's grip on Rosenia tightens, and she vanishes from public view. No letters, no sightings. It's like she disappeared. The Duke walks the halls of his estate like a ghost, unable to forget her. He hasn't seen her even once in all this time. And it's driving him mad. For 4 years, he slowly unravels. Every day without her feels like a thread pulled loose. He stares out the window, wondering if she even remembers him. He sends letter after letter, formal marriage proposals sealed in wax. But silence is all he gets in return. Eventually, he can't take it anymore. The waiting, the rejection, the not knowing, it's eating him alive. Then one day, a reply arrives. But it's not from Rosenia. It's from Adrien. The message is clear. Keep asking to marry my sister, and I'll make sure you show up to the wedding as a corpse. That letter was the first and last. He realizes Rosenia probably doesn't even know he exists, but still, he can't stop thinking about her. Has he ever wanted someone this badly? Not even once. Not like this, he asks cautiously, almost afraid to hope. Will Rosenia be staying at that villa? The servant nods. Yes, that is correct. His heart skips a beat. After 4 years of silence, this might be his only chance to see her again. The servant explains that Adrien is heading south to investigate demonic beasts. That means Rosenia will be at the villa alone. The Duke's eyes widen. This is it, the moment he's been waiting for. He clenches his fist, determination rising. He can finally meet her again. He pictures her walking ahead of him, just out of reach. But not for long. He thinks about how much she must have changed in 4 years, how much more beautiful she must be. His rose garden. But then, something goes wrong. Rain begins to fall, and his hand trembles. His knees buckle. His magic surges out of control. His master once said they could suppress it, but now, of all times, it's breaking loose. Why now? Why here? He lies on the ground, soaked and barely conscious. Am I really going to die without seeing you again? He wonders. Then, through the rain, he sees her. Rosenia walks into the garden, umbrella in hand, eyes widening as she spots him. His heart leaps. She came. She's here. He smiles faintly, eyes fluttering shut. You've come, he thinks. My destiny. After all this time, all the waiting, she's finally here. Even if he dies now, he's seen her again. That's enough. Morning light filters through the curtains as Rosenia stirs. She blinks, confused. There's a sweet scent in the air. She sits up groggily until a voice asks if she's awake. She turns and sees him standing there, shirt open like he's in a romance novel. She gasps, flustered. When did he wake up? And more importantly, why does he look like that? He casually mentions that it's already 8 in the morning. Rosenia panics, pulling the blanket tighter. Don't come closer, she pleads. She's only wearing a slip. He raises an eyebrow and suggests they just spend the whole day naked. Her brain short-circuits. Is he trying to kill her with embarrassment? He grins and asks if she's embarrassed. She shouts back, of course she is. This man has no brakes. He responds with a casual smile, saying that it sounds like an even better idea, as if he hadn't just dropped a bomb on her dignity. Rosenia freezes, her brain buffering like a broken loading screen. What even is he talking about? Before she can escape and regroup, she mutters an excuse to step away. But he pulls her into his arms without warning. Her heart practically launches itself into orbit. He leans in and kisses her, completely ignoring the fact that she was mid-freak-out. She stammers, trying to protest with a shaky wait, but he just raises an eyebrow and asks why she's hesitating. Her brain, clearly not built for this level of romantic whiplash, suddenly latches onto a memory. She gasps and exclaims that something's finally ready, using it as the perfect excuse to escape the dangerously flirty atmosphere before her soul leaves her body. She breathes in deeply and says the aroma always puts her in a good mood, trying to ground herself in anything normal. He hums in agreement, watching her with a softness that makes her suspicious. She catches him staring and demands to know why he's looking at her like that. He doesn't even blink before replying that it's because she's beautiful. She groans in defeat, muttering that this man has no chill and clearly no intention of letting her heart rest. He laughs softly, clearly enjoying how flustered she's become, and kisses her again without hesitation. She flails in protest, caught between indignation and the undeniable butterflies. From a distance, they look like a picture-perfect couple, but inside his mind, a darker thought brews. Just a kiss, he tells himself. As long as she keeps seeing him as the noble, righteous Duke Llewellyn, she'll never know the truth he hides beneath the charm. His eyes narrow slightly as he pulls her closer, his thoughts turning solemn. If she ever learns who he truly is, what he's done, she might run, and he wouldn't blame her. The embrace tightens, not just out of affection, but fear. He's not ready to let her see the shadows behind his smile. Somewhere else, steps echo softly on stone. signaling that their story is far from settled. He asks if the lemon water suits her taste, and she nods, saying it's lovely. Internally, she wonders if cooking is one of his hobbies, because who knew the Duke of Rosenia could whip up citrus beverages like a Pinterest mom? She shifts the topic to the garden, curious about its design. He explains that it was decorated according to his mother's preferences. When she brings up his mother, he clarifies that she must mean Sir Ilunia. Surprised, she asks if he knows her, and he replies that he knows of her. He explains that before becoming a magic swordswoman, Sir Ilunia was one of the most famous knights in the empire. Rosenia is taken aback. She remembers her mother as a strong, brilliant woman, though that was a long time ago. Despite her mother's rough edges and intense reputation, Rosenia recalls how kind she was to her and Adrien. To her, Ilunia wasn't just a warrior, she was simply mom. A memory surfaces, her mother calling her their beautiful daughter. Rosenia finds herself missing her, wondering if she's still alive and what she might be doing now. Then Llewellyn drops a bombshell. His master is Sir Ilunia's own brother. Her eyes widen as she processes that. Wait, what? She recalls how her mother was the illegitimate child of some noble, and now she learns that woman had a brother, who just so happens to be Llewellyn's master. She hesitantly asks for his name. He answers without hesitation. Enrique Roberts. Rosenia gasps, stunned. Roberts? As in, that? Roberts? Her brain is short-circuiting again. On the continent of Redos, the Hills are known as the most powerful mage family. In contrast, House Roberts is infamous for its cold detachment, willing to let the empire burn if it suited them. Though some question their nobility, their bloodline is undeniable. Rosenia realizes now why her mother kept her past hidden. If she was tied to Roberts by blood, that explained everything: her silence, her distance, her secrets. But how much of it was to protect them? He notices her silence and gently asks if she's all right. Snapping out of her thoughts, she assures him she's fine, just thinking about her mother. He nods solemnly, saying it's already been over 15 years since Sir Ilunia disappeared. His father is still searching, but he admits he's not sure they'll ever find her. The weight of that uncertainty hangs between them. Rosenia suddenly perks up and calls out, leading him toward something with a burst of energy. He follows, caught off guard by her sudden shift. She turns and asks if his master taught him magic. He nods, curious where she's going with this. They sit together, and he explains that they prefer to call his master a sage, someone who's both a mage and a knight. Rosenia thinks that sounds suspiciously like a magic swordsman, but apparently the Rosenia family has branding standards. She wonders aloud if the Rosians hate the Hills. Llewellyn has always been kind to her, but a part of her wonders, could he just be pretending? She hesitates, then gathers her courage and speaks. She reminds him that she's a member of the Hill family too, and her voice trembles as she asks the question that's been gnawing at her. Does he hate her? He looks at her quietly, and for a moment, she can't read his expression at all. The chapter ends. There's only one way to calm the male lead's unstable manaphysical contact. It can be as simple as a hug or as intense as a kiss. As he leans in close, Rosenia's thoughts spiral. Why is he doing this now? And more importantly, why is he doing it with her and not Sierra? But then he whispers her name, Rose. And suddenly, everything feels a lot more complicated.